Well, familiar face showed up at practice today. A man who was actually wearing 49ers gear this time goes by the name of Brandon Aiyuk. And so perhaps we're getting a resolution sooner than later. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned right after this. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the program. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's gonna be a fun one, we're just in the middle of the week, a Wednesday. We thought nothing was gonna happen, and then boom, Brandon Aiyuk shows up at practice. We got reporters literally texting by them or tweeting by the minute about what's going on there with Brandon Aiyuk in attendance. But first, how you doing, my guy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Very busy. Very, very, very busy with work and everything like that. I don't know, were many people not expecting this to happen?
I don't know, man, because as you can tell, there are a lot of different storylines out there. A lot of different narratives that ultimately are saying the same thing. But we've come back to this situation. He's getting traded. It's likelier he's getting traded. Oh, they're looking for a resolution. And now we're back here. Break it down. What do you think?
This entire time, I've been telling Jesse, I think I've told you a couple of times, and other people as well, even on the timeline, pay attention to who's reporting what, right? I've always felt like certain reporters, no matter what team, no matter who they are, they're reporting for certain things, right? I've always felt a couple of the guys who've been reporting, oh, the Niners are very close on trade package. The Niners have approved of a trade package with this team, that team, this team, that team. Brandon Aiyuk's being traded because the Niners can't afford him. And then leaking numbers, right? The moment the 33 or 32 number was leaked by the New England Patriots or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, Brandon Aiyuk's for sure staying. Because when you look at it, right, everyone's gonna think, oh, the Steelers are offering this massive number to Brandon Aiyuk where it's irresistible, and this is why he wants to be a Steeler. And then the Niners end up coming in on the number that he's always wanted this entire time at 28, 29, get a contract done, and they're like, we got a hometown discount. We love you, Brandon. You rock. And they're like, yeah, making the fans thank you, Brandon. And it's bro, it's not a discount. It's what he's wanted this whole time. They put out this narrative to make it look like, oh, we can't trade you because no teams want you. But they're also telling him, go find a trade package and playing this cat and mouse shit with him. And I felt like there's always been a little bit weird for the 49ers in the sense of why are you letting him talk to teams? This entire time, all right, why is he talking to teams? Asked around. And the entire time I kept getting dude, the Niners just letting teams negotiate for him, negotiate for them. They're going to end up finding a price that fits right. They know that he's going to reject certain teams. That's why they're like, oh, we'll let you talk to that team because he's going to reject that team. It's exactly what happened with the Patriots. Honestly, I think this will be done by the end of the week, to be honest. If I had to take a guess, right, I think it'll be done by the end of the week. Now, I bet my house on Ryan's show that he'll be a Niner. Obviously, I'm not truly betting the house, right? But if I had a bet, I'm betting that he's going to be back with the Niners. I've been saying this for quite some time. Very confident in it. I don't see the 49ers doing anything drastic where they trade him away for nothing but picks, and then they flip those picks for another receiver. What is this? The NBA? This is some of the stupidest shit I've heard from reporters. Just think about it, right? Let's just sit back and think. Rohan, if you heard the Niners were calling teams right after they just got done trading Brandon Aiyuk,
right,
wouldn't you seem you're desperate for a player? Oh, now you need a receiver.
This is Madden, bro. I'm the GM. I'm wheeling and dealing. Oh,
turn the cap numbers off.
Yeah, cap numbers off. We don't care. Cap casualties, clear them. Clear all the penalties. We're good. Devontae Adams, you don't want to come here, but this is Madden. We're gonna make sure you come here. That's
forced to trade.
Yeah,
you're gonna force the trade on the simulation, and then you're gonna end up trading for what other edge rusher do we need, or what other player do we need right now?
Yeah, TJ Watt. What?
bring TJ Watt. Like all this stuff is like, bro, what do we do? Like when I'm seeing some of this, I'm like, oh, there's a third team. Oh, the compensation that the has gone up from the Steelers recently. Right, that's what we heard. It was like, man, this from the entire time, like it's just been a bunch of bullshit being spewed out by a bunch of reporters, and I think they're being fed certain things. For example, why the Steelers know they're not going to get Brandon Aiyuk, right? Their fan base is calling for Omar Khan, right? They're like, Omar Khan hasn't given a good enough offer. Omar, what are you doing? Offer a first. We need Brandon Aiyuk. And now, like, this offer comes up. Oh, well, they've offered enough. Oh, so out of nowhere, you've offered a first-round pick, or out of nowhere, you've offered this drastic trade that's going to get you Brandon Aiyuk? Yeah. Hey, Omar, keep talking to the media, buddy. I love it. I love you telling the media you feel like you're going to get him, and you upped your offer when you really haven't. Like, that's media talk, man. Media talk.
Ultimately, when it comes to this situation, I think it's been pretty clear for months. In the sense, I don't think there has been much that's changed. You go back to March. They allowed him to talk to teams in March. There were teams that were interested back in March. Teams willing to give a contract. Teams willing to get a deal done. All of that. Now, all of that is obviously picked up with a very similar group back now in whatever month this is, in August, you know? And
you don't know what month we're in?
I don't.
Are you okay?
No. That's a different story. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're in August. We are in the middle, you know.
Hope you figured it out. Hope you figured out we're in August, Rohan.
But
you know you have school soon, right? Let me make sure you know that, right?
Yeah. That's all, you know, second. That's in the back. That's in the rear view. We'll figure it out.
I'm glad you're figuring things out on the fly. I'm really happy for you at this moment.
But when we talk about the situation in August now, knowing the month, it's very similar to what it's been. Teams are interested. Teams are willing. The Niners are the ones who first don't really want to trade Brandon. They want to get a deal done. It's just they got to come to terms. And two, Aiyuk probably, if we're talking about, if you gave him a choice and said, what's his number one team that he'd want to be with, it'd be the Niners. And so I don't think their situation has changed that much. It's just maybe the urgency might have changed a little more, just knowing that you're closer to the season than you were back in March. Because he's talked to teams. Teams have already shown interest. The Niners already know what's on the table. The Niners know what offers that they're trying to compete against. All of that is out there. And we've already seen, you know, you've heard the reports where Aiyuk has flat out denied some of these teams and their offers. I don't think there's much that's changed with the status quo with the Steelers. It's more of a stalemate. Steelers are saying, you know what? This is our offer. You got to deal with it. 49ers, they're saying, Brandon, this is our offer. What are you picking? And Brandon's trying to see which side will budge a little bit more. Will the Steelers give a little more so the 49ers are happier? Will the 49ers give him a little more, which is probably his ideal situation? And that's where I think we're going to end up coming sooner than later, where Brandon Aiyuk gets more money than he's been offered, you know, rather than the 26.5 that he's been offered. He gets bumped up to closer to the numbers, not only with the APY, but more importantly with the guarantees. That's the most important thing, guaranteed at signing. And that's where he ends up being a Niner. Like Marco, I'm also hedging on it. My dignity is on the line here because I drafted Brandon Aiyuk in the 4th round of my fantasy draft 2 days ago. And so, Kyle, I'm throwing out a prayer there because I need some good results here from BA this year.
Damn, BA's about to get traded to like the worst quarterback situation you could have, right? Like a lot of people are talking about the Steelers quarterback situation. Watch BA end up getting traded to like what team has the worst quarterback out there right now? How do you feel if that happens? Your fantasy team just went to crap.
Because I wanted Cooper Kupp. I had faith. I could have taken Cooper Kupp. I really wanted Cooper Kupp. I cannot now have Cooper Kupp. I can't take that back.
This sounds like a Rohan problem, not a BA problem.
I had faith in Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers to get this thing done, put their egos aside. Well, it's not egos, but just figure it out and get it done.
Yeah, it's egos. Let's say how it is egos.
That's how it is. So we got to
I like your faith in Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers to get it done. Like that's pretty intense. Like just going straight for it. I not know the Niners are getting it done. Man, Steelers fans must feel like shit right now. Right? Like
they were let on. And then
they were trolled. They were trolled. Let's be real. They were trolled. They had they followed a dog. They believed it. They made spaces and said Brandon Aiyuk's a Steeler. They went on like this run talking mad shit to most 49er fans on Twitter. They had a good run, like a really good run with the Brandon Aiyuk situation. And now I mean, that's just kind of funny. But Rohan, so obviously Brandon Aiyuk too was there today. Obviously, besides the bullshit and everything that's going on, he was there today. He was reported to be in a what shirt was he in or something like that? Some weird stuff.
Somebody said he was in Niners gear.
I heard he was in a Steelers jersey.
Oh.
Obviously, he was in a Niners. Obviously, he was at the facility, was in a Niners shirt. It was a cutoff. That's what it was reported. Dapped up. Well, not necessarily dapped up. John Lynch kind of like shook his hand, tapped him on the back. It was like a hi, how are you doing kind of thing, and walked by. Yeah, man, like how do you buy Brandon Aiyuk being at the facility? If he's being traded, wouldn't he not want to be there showing his face to the media? Or is this a tactic to like every few days I'm going to show my face so they could talk about me more so I could get traded?
I don't know if I see it like that, but I do think that one thing is clear. Something like today gives him publicity. That is very clear. Everybody's going to be talking about it. Everybody's going to report it. National media is going to pick it up. And then, that just creates more buzz. I do think that that's pretty clear. I don't know, though, if it's more so bargaining for a trade. It's obviously not the best look. If you're out there, you're sporting. This is the first time I believe we've seen BA actually sport the Niners, when he comes out from the locker room. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's a sign. I just don't think it's a negative one.
Shout out to Rohan. We're on Rohan's channel today. Make sure you guys are subscribed. I see a lot of you guys on the Twitter platform watching today. A lot of you guys on the YouTube platform. Go over to Rohan Chakravarthi's personal channel. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys are following and subscribe to Rohan on YouTube as well, not just Twitter. And then once you're done there, go to Clutch Gene Sports. Hit that subscribe button on Clutch. Rohan, this is a really good point right here. So Giannis goes on and says, guys, a lot of periods, right? Purdy averaged 13 yards, right? Exclamation mark should be involved there. Like when you all caps, put the exclamation mark. When targeting Aiyuk in 2023, all reports from camp say he has no chemistry with anyone except Kittle and has been frustrated with the other receivers. I have not heard that he's been frustrated with the other receivers. I do know the other receivers aren't creating separation. What is your opinion on this, Rohan? This is a damn good point for Brandon Aiyuk, right? Like averaging 13 yards per target from Brock Purdy, one of his favorite targets. What's your take on this one?
Right. And I mean, the biggest thing about last year with Brandon Aiyuk was efficiency, right? Not necessarily having, elite numbers when it came to targets, completions, and all of that, but rather when it came to efficiency, Brandon Aiyuk was up there as a top 5, top 3 receiver in the league, averaged 3.3 yards per route run, which highlights not only, when he's running routes, is he getting the ball all the time? Yes. And he's getting the ball at a good depth, and so that kind of tells you that whenever he's on the field, it's been a pretty productive environment. And then also he averages over 17 yards per catch. He was close to the 18 yard per catch range, showing that he was a deep threat. But it's also not only just that. It's not like he was only used on deep balls. Brandon Aiyuk was used in a lot of different ways last year. It's just the way that things came about. He was finding a way to create explosive plays on a significant portion of his drives. I believe over 35% of his plays were explosive. So when you look at all the numbers and look at the efficiency, it's pretty clear how much he changed the offense. And I was asked today about, when you rank the 49ers weapons, which are the most valuable to the least, and it's every single one has a different attribute to it. This offense doesn't operate without Christian McCaffrey because of how important he is in the run game. And then when you talk about Deebo Samuel just adds a completely different element. But Brandon Aiyuk is the most traditional of them all. He's a true number one. And more importantly, he gained separation. We saw separation struggles, in training camp. And so if Brandon Aiyuk's not there, I think that that's where you might have a problem in that area. And I don't know how it's going to carry through the rest of the season.
Absolutely. And I think this is a good point because, like, as a receiver one, as a quarterback who has that relationship with them, you got to develop that relationship, and it's throughout the season. through training camp and everything like that. So obviously, with no Ricky Pearsall playing in and out of the lineup because of the injuries that he's had to deal with to start his career, like that also could be a reason why he hasn't gotten any of that trust or built up that chemistry with him. Now, obviously, that could be created throughout the season or throughout training camp. Now, it will take time if it's throughout the season, maybe a game or two or a couple of quarters, where Brock could kind of like coach him up a little bit. Obviously, it does feel like the Steelers were left at the altar in their white dress. So it's just kind of a hard situation for the Steelers. Now, Kawakami said and Barrow said that he has thrown up his hands when they've run the wrong routes. But the thing is can I
This might be
blame
some of the
him?
younger guys. I don't know if it's like,
But
I
he
don't
does
know.
that with everyone.
Yeah.
We've seen
It's
him.
more
We've
so
seen
him
him
showing
tell.
leadership, him showing accountability and things like that, trying to take a bigger role there.
Yeah, and we've seen him do it during the regular season to Debo, to Kittle, and get in their face and tell them, "What the f are you doing? Get it right." Like so, I don't want to say like it's him trying to up them or talk like he doesn't want to throw to them. Quint says, "Is there any truth to the rumors that Aiyuk was at practice to avoid fines? Seems to be false. I mean, he's been at the facility every day. He just hasn't been going out there for the most part. So I don't think he's getting fined for those. We would hear if he is not there and getting fined. So I mean, obviously he's holding in. So obviously there's some truth to it in the sense of he is at practice to avoid those fines because he is holding in. If he didn't care about those fines or he didn't feel like he was going to be a Niner, I feel like he would have sat out and he would not have been there. So I guess there is some truth to it, obviously. But Rohan, do you think he's going to be a Niner? I know you obviously you bet that like you bet on him and you took him
in my fantasy league.
In your fantasy league, which obviously even if he goes to the Steelers, he's still gonna be a top target. So like either way, like
if he goes to the Steelers, I'm quitting before week 1.
Just drop every player in your fantasy league and
I'm just gonna trade anybody.
No, don't trade. No, you don't trade. You drop everyone. Everybody you can.
It's not even a dynasty league. I can't get future first round picks. It's a redraft, so
yeah, and you just watch everyone fight on the waiver wire and get pissed off at you. So one time I had a family member, he was completely out of the playoff race and he dropped his entire team, and everyone was so pissed that the commissioner re-put every single one of those players back on his team, and told him he couldn't do it. He was so pissed and he dropped all his players. The funniest thing I've ever seen fantasy wise. Rohan, obviously there's other things going on. What else do we have to talk about today? I know you're kind of leading the way today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Brandon Aiyuk is going to carry the load kind of as we go through things, but there were a couple of other things. One specific player I wanted to talk about, and a guy who I think you had tweeted about. I'll be honest, I did not watch the preseason game. Are
you going to talk about Nick Zakel?
No, not yet. But I wanted to talk about somebody else. Kalia Davis suffered an injury. He had played in the preseason game, saw a couple of clips. Seems like he did well, especially in the run game. He is now out for at least half the year with another surgery. What do you think about that?
It sucks, man. Typically when a player, and this sucks because he's a linebacker converted to a defensive tackle. So like it just sucks to see like maybe like he's not supposed to be at this weight and his body's telling him he dropped back to being like a lot less. And it just sucks because he had his best probably outing or showing in that preseason game, flashed in my opinion in the run game. And that's something the Niners really, really need from a guy like him, is to be that run defender. And since they're losing him, they brought in a big run defensive tackle. Man, it sucks, man. It really does, because I thought Kalia Davis was going to have a really good breakout year and be that guy. If it wasn't for injuries in the run game, it just sucks to see him. Obviously, yeah, man, I really, really feel bad for him at this time, because, man, that showing, some of those plays he made is like even getting double teamed and getting skinny and beating the double team. That was some impressive stuff, even if it's against backups.
Now, like you said, he was potentially there. He was having a chance to be, a roster guy. I think that there were kind of 8 locks at defensive line. I think that there was 1-2 spots open. Kalia Davis was potentially in line for one of those spots. And this is the time where he can prove himself, In training camp, he wasn't really with the 2s that much or things like that. You kind of have to be with the 3s because the 2s are kind of set. The 1s are set. And so this was his chance, and unfortunately, the injury comes about. We'll see now what happens with him. A couple of guys, though, that were kind of in these proven off seasons, big injuries. Him, Drake Jackson, they're all dealing with some issues. Some other news that we got was Talanoa Hufanga. He is going to get a checkup on Thursday and potentially back at practice ahead of this preseason game or to start next week. What do you kind of think about that? Do you think, and more so, what do you think the plan should be with a guy like Hufanga, who has looked solid so far? He's been out there at practice, just hasn't hasn't participated, and now he is on the verge of coming back. How do you think they should treat this?
I think they should treat it as it is, right? Like, you don't necessarily need to rush him back. Obviously, he's very close to being back. So even if it is for another week, you still have a couple of weeks until week 1 of the season. So I think you want to get him back as soon as possible. But you also don't want to rush a guy like Talanoa Hufanga coming back from that ACL injury. It's not like he's going to be desperately needed week 1. Obviously, it is a big game. Obviously, you're playing against the New York Jets, who have a quarterback, have the receivers to throw the ball and everything like that. But I think Jair Brown is a starter. George Odom is capable of spot starting for you. So I'm not worried about that. My biggest thing is come back healthy. Don't rush it. You're in a contract year. Be smart on yourself. So I'm not too concerned in terms of when he'll be back. I do want to get to this one, though. The thing is, though, Jonas, yes, he did. You could say he struggled against the ones in the first quarter, against the starters. But he's not going to be that guy who's playing in the first quarter, right? Like, he's going to be playing after the number ones are getting beat up on by Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins, and some of the other interior defense linemen. He would come in to help give them a fresh breath of air. So he's going to have more energy. He's going to be able to go up against a starting offensive player who is already kind of tired. So that's kind of where I'm also putting the point too, where he did have a good preseason game. You could also say he struggled a little bit. Agree with you there. But he did have a good outing, whether it was against backup starters. I thought his outing was solid enough to say he's a guy you need to step up.
Let's talk about some of the other guys, because you mentioned Nick Zakelj. I want to get to 2 offensive linemen with updates. Like I said, I haven't watched the game. I'm going to watch it later this week, potentially on Saturday right before the second preseason game. But Zakelj, first-team center. Reports are suggesting he played well. I want to get your opinion. And John Feliciano is more week to week than day to day. Seems like he's kind of on the unfortunate end right now because starting lineup is starting to figure things out. What do you think about Zakelj's performance? And how do you think right now the offensive line kind of looks, that room overall kind of looks?
Nick Zakelj should be getting some Kenny, I'm not. We'll be going on my channel tomorrow, me and Rohan, or Friday, probably Friday.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. But we'll be doing my channel. Yeah, we'll be doing my channel just because dual streaming is being knocked by YouTube. I don't know why, but it's being knocked by YouTube. So that's why it's not on my channel. But yeah, sub to Rohan, man. You should have already been sub to Rohan. Come on, Kenny. But I thought Nick Zakelj was honestly, might have been the best interior offensive lineman the Niners had out there against the who the heck did they just play? Why am I blinking? I was gonna say Lions, but it wasn't the Lions.
Titans.
Yeah, so it's with the Titans, they're definitely, I think he was one of the better interior offensive linemen on the field for the 49ers throughout the entire day. And they had some starters in there, right? They had Banks there, who I thought struggled. You're gonna watch him, Rohan, you're gonna be like, wow, he struggled. I thought Dominic Puny in pass pro was phenomenal. I thought that was one of the more impressive things of the day when I watched it. In the run game, he struggles. But that's very fixable. There's a lot of coaching things that he could be fixed on. It's his first game in the NFL against other competition. I thought he struggled in the run game. Now, one thing I did notice a little bit, and this is kind of me just more nitpicking, right? Like little things that I see on film where it's like, well, okay, like this may come up later in the season against better competition. Dominic Puny lunges a little bit. He's lunging at blockers a couple times in pass pro. And when you start lunging, a really talented defensive tackle is going to get you to lunge and hit you with a swim move, hit you with a club while you're lunging, and they're going to bait you into doing this. So I think that's something that is going to be a concern because with his size, he's damn good at anchoring, pass blocking with his feet. But you will see a couple of times where he goes to lunge, and luckily he's landing his paws on these defensive tackles. That's something I saw. I thought Nick Zakelj was man, I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was getting to the second level. He was now obviously there's stuff to critique, right? Like in the run game, I want to see him finish blocks a little bit better. I want to see him do the little things. But I thought he played really well. Where if the Niners had to go to him during the season to start the game, the Titans had a lot of their starters in, and I thought he played really well with the starting offense. So I really liked seeing what I saw from Nick Zakelj. I thought he was the best interior offensive lineman for the 49ers in that starting group. You're going to see some of that. That's what I just saw. But now I don't think Zakelj will start. I think he should be given the opportunity to compete because some of these guys are injured, and you got to see what he is with the ones and everything like that. So I'm very interested to see if he gets the shot with the ones again this week against the Saints, who might play their starters because there is no joint practice going. So you might see a little bit more of the starters going as well.
Okay, that's interesting. Like I said, I didn't watch the game. From what I saw during training camp, there was a active competition, though, between Nick Zakelj and Ben Bartch for the swing interior role, the guy to be the backup center or to be the backup guard. Because remember, Feliciano has been out for a while now. The injury is now week to week, so he initially would have been the backup center, or at least would have competed as started center. Some would have been there in some iteration. He isn't available right now. And so Feliciano, with him out, I think the Niners are going to carry one more offensive lineman that isn't a lock right now. And I think that right now, Nick Zakelj seems like he's on the front track to do it, beating out Ben Bartch. I think you have your starting five. You've got two tackles with Jalen Moore, and then whoever wins that other tackle job. And then you've got Nick Zakelj and John Feliciano. I think that's your group of 9. Maybe you don't even go 2 tackles. Maybe you go 1, but I have a feeling they'd probably go 2. And then they'd end up carrying 9 guys. But good sign from Nick Zakelj. Dominic Puny in the pass game impressing. That's a good sign. I think that carries over from camp. Puny was a good pass protector, won a lot of one-on-one reps. Run game is where he's going to struggle a little bit more, at least early on, as he kind of gets grasps the concepts a little more. But he's comfortable in pass protection, and that's a big thing for the Niners.
But that also might get him out of the lineup, right? Think about it. If you can't run to the right and you can't – so, for example, that was one of the Niners' bigger issues last year is not being able to run to the right.
Right.
And it's not necessarily because of – might not be because of Dominic Puny, might be because of Colt McKivitz. But if you can't establish the run, Kyle Shanahan loves to run the ball, and he likes to get the run game going in order to go play action with Brock Purdy. If you don't have Brandon Aiyuk, this could be a major factor in terms of who starts, right? Like if Puny's struggling in the run game, and the reason I brought this topic up is Big Sexy. I think it's Big Sexy. I think that's his name. It's very awkward calling you that, brother, but that's your name, I guess, on Twitter, on YouTube. Sorry. So I'd rather have a better pass blocker than a run blocker. Every big game comes down to passing at the end. That is absolutely true, but you're not going to have those big moments at the end of the game if you cannot run the ball. Teams are going to start, especially with no Brandon Aiyuk, they're going to press you, force you to throw the ball. They're going to stack the box, and if you can't get the run game going and they're pressing you, you may have issues throwing the ball, and I think that's where I would like to see Puny get better at. Obviously, it's his first live game action in the NFL, so I'm not going to be like, oh, he's never going to be a good run blocker. He was phenomenal in pass run. I think that's the most important part because that's what the Niners need. I'm not going to get to that question. Is the Kyle Shanahan, will he be on the hot seat? That's a question for mid-season or end of the season. What you think, Rohan? End of the season? Question?
End of the season. We'll see. It depends on the if we lose again part. We'll see.
So that's what I saw from the O-line. D winners, obviously, right? Yes, but when you're in press man and you're not able to get off the line of scrimmage and you're struggling to beat press man, that's going to hurt you as a passing game. So yes, it does open up the run game to some extent, but you're not going to be able to have Brock just drop back and throw the ball and then be able to establish the run that way. It's a weird way on how it works, Rohan. I don't know if you want to explain it, but I just don't see it happening because you're pressing. You're going to have teams go press man. You're going to have teams do certain things to you. And if you know a team's throwing the ball, it's a lot easier to defend. So that's something that would also be a factor as well.
No, you're right. And again, it's all about the tells, right? You don't want to make yourself one-dimensional. A defense, it's much easier to guard a defense if you are one dimensional, if if you're more pass dominant. And the run game is important in the Kyle Shanahan scheme. One thing we didn't see last year, or one thing a lot of people didn't know, a lot of the run game plays, where you might see some of the bigger gains, Christian McCaffrey created them. It wasn't like, it wasn't like it was there initially and it was great blocking. McCaffrey sometimes overrode that and was just able to create plays just based on his sheer talent. You don't necessarily want that or have to rely on that 24/7. You want blocks to be executed. And so I don't know if I think Puny gets pulled just because when you look at the outlook at right guard right now, I don't know if there's a healthy option. And I don't know if you want to disrupt continuity come week 1. But it is an area of improvement that he definitely will have to look into. I think that there was some inconsistent play, in that regard. And we'll see how he can improve over the next couple of preseason games because he's going to get a lot of action.
And I agree. Like, it isn't. I'm not saying it's actually going to be like a reason why he doesn't start. Like, but it could be, right? Like, because if you can't run to both sides of the field, it kind of hurts you a little bit. And I think that was something the Niners were affected by last year, not being able to run the ball to the right. Now they may be able to experiment with different things on that right side. Maybe a different tackle. Maybe putting Spencer Burford at right tackle helps them. Who knows? Like, I don't know what the answer is. But I would love to see Spencer Burford there at right tackle. Does he get some reps? Especially if Puny is your starter, which he should be. Zakel at center would improve the run game. Zakel at center looked very fluid, very good. Anything else, Rohan? Any other players you want to talk about?
Yeah, one guy, I don't know. I didn't watch him, but a guy Kyle Shanahan praised, Malik Mustafa. I know he had a 4th down stop. What did you kind of see from him in his first career game, pretty much?
He learns really, really fast. Really, really fast. So what I like to see about his game is he's understanding. He's seeing the field really well, shooting from the free safety spot. You don't see that. He kind of gives me Dante Whitner vibes, in a way of Dante Whitner would be able to play that free safety and he'd be able to run the lane and not be afraid to come hit you. I thought that's something I really liked. One play I thought it was pretty cool to see of a rookie learn on the fly. He got bit by the play action hard. They're in kind of like a zone, but it's like a zone match where he was on the tight end. Comes in he's playing like that nickel roll in a way, like in like that range. Bites in like if he's gonna go for the run. Tight end leaks. Luckily, quarterback throws the ball out of bounds. Tight end can't get his feet in. Next similar situation they had like that, he read it right all over his target. Bad pass, and you can't really. It's got to be a perfect pass. That's one thing I noticed from him. Obviously, the play that everyone is talking about, everyone that is looking at, I think it's cool to see where he filled the gap at the goal line, stopped them on 4th down. I think that's a huge play. But for me, I thought the plays were when he filled the lane, he run the lane from the deep safety spot and had a tackle, and then in coverage. The second attempt, he got beat in coverage because he bit, and the second time around, he was able to see that it was play action. To me, I thought that was pretty dang cool to see from him learning. I think those 2 plays were a lot more impressive to me than the goal line one, because goal line, it's read and react, and he read it and reacted really fast. But that just shows the kind of hitter he is. Rohan's gone, so we'll go some questions. We couldn't run or pass block on the right side last year, so that is a problem, at least with Puny. I think the pass game with the pass pro on the right side wasn't as bad as fans make it sound like, right? Like, now that was like the bigger key, but I didn't think it was as bad as it was. Malik knocked the Mayo out of Levi's coffee at the goal line. Did he hit Mayo? Did he hit Levi? I don't think he did.
He hit Levis.
When?
Play. I saw a clip of it. He hit Levis.
When? What play? I'm trying to figure out what play, because the only play I can think of Levis getting hit hard at the goal line was D. Winters smacking him and George Odom coming in on it. And then the next one, that's the only one I could think of. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I thought Winters hit him, but Rick Diaz says, "Gentlemen, coming from Chicago, I don't have 49er fans. What's going on, my friend? Your show was terrific. It's 5:11 here in Chicago. Go Niners." I was just in Chicago about like a month ago, Chicago's
I'm
an
in
awesome
Wisconsin
city.
currently, so it's 5:11 here as well.
Awesome location out there. Love Chicago. The only thing I didn't like was not seeing many Niner hats or Niner attire. So I agree with you, man. Feel
White
bad for
Sox
you.
hats, huh? Wearing that
I didn't
stuff.
ever see Red Sox hats. Trust me. Question for you: I hear in the video that Gray is open deep and pass. I didn't watch the receivers. I didn't watch the quarterbacks. My focus when I watched the film this time around was offensive line and defense. I did not watch the quarterbacks and the receivers. I'll be straight up. I'm not going to lie. Rohan, that's probably what you could check on, and Big Sexy could get that answer from you next. Why are you laughing? What's his name?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You want to talk about winners?
Yeah. I mean, what did you kind of see from him?
So I thought it was cool.
I heard up and
Winner,
down. I heard that there
up
were a
and
lot
down.
of nice plays, but what did you kind of think?
Up and down. What I saw from D Winners was he's a guy who, at times when he's seeing things right, he flies right. He's getting to the spot. He knows what he's seeing. But there was a couple of times where I'm like, come on, D, like you're not seeing the field right, and he gets beat. Like right, there's times they're in zone covering grass. If you're covering grass, your coach is gonna get on that ass. Like that's something that's always been said, right? Like, and he's covering grass a couple times in zone. If there's no one threatening your zone, obviously you're looking for the work. And a couple of times he doesn't see the tight end leaking late, stuff like that. Struggle to shed blocks in the run game, over pursuing himself and getting himself in a bad spot on run fits where offensive linemen are able to get their hands on him. I thought that was like a little bit concerning. But outside of that, you do see his speed flash. Like that's something that you do see fly around. It's just up and down day. I just thought like once these reps, maybe it's first game jitters where he's not seeing the field, where he over pursues, misses a tackle, and now it's kind of like, all right, what am I seeing? Let me make sure I'm seeing things. There's a time where a screen's right in front of him, and luckily the I don't think anything was. I think the ball was batted down, I believe, but screen's right in front of him, developing slow as shit in front of him. Offensive linemen are going, getting out, and he's still standing there. Like that, concerning, right? Because you're not reading things fast enough. And I think that to me is a little bit more concerning than anything because he's not reading it, but also limited reps. Let him get more reps, see how it looks next game. But I thought to me that was a little concerning. Outside of that, his speed flying around on the field was pretty cool to see. There's a couple of nice reps there, but little bit of things that were concerning, but it's very coachable.
Okay. Do you like the Quan Alexander comparison? How do you feel?
No, because even if Quan was reading wrong, he was flying at 100 miles per hour anyways. So like he was making a wrong decision at 100 miles per hour. I'd rather see that than a player making a decision and just standing there and not reacting. I'd rather see a decision made at 100 miles per hour. At least you think you know what you see and you're reacting at 100 miles per hour. Because if you're reacting at no speed, that's concerning to me. Because like, what are you truly? You don't know what's going on, or you're not guessing, and that was a concern.
Yeah.
So I don't like I mean, I get the comparison of flying around and being that kind of guy who's going to be there, miss tackles, but I don't see the comparison because Quan was flying around 100 miles per hour. See, Rick, I didn't even know you were out there, bro. You never told me you're from Chicago, so that's your fault, all right? Your fault that I wasn't able to go visit you. I may go back to Chicago, so I'll hit you back up. Still got my farewell. So do I.
Okay.
So do I.
I want to ask you this now. We're heading into the second preseason game. I'm going to be there in attendance, so I'll get to get a firsthand look. But what are you kind of looking for? Or what or who? What are the things you're kind of looking for that you saw in the first game that you kind of want to clean up or looking to see more of?
Ricky. Can I see Ricky Pearsall finally? Can we stop like hiding him from one-on-ones? Can we stop hiding him? And this is not me talking shit on Ricky. I understand he's a little hurt, banged up, but at some point he needs to see live action. He needs to see live corners where they could actually physically touch him and not being in a blue contact jersey. I want to see Ricky Pearsall. I really want to see Ricky Pearsall. I want to see Jacob Cowing. Two players I really want to see. Outside of those guys, I do have. Dude, I do have a Joe Staley apron too. That's crazy. But just seeing everything, like I want to see those two guys. I want to see a little bit more of. I want to see Darrell Luter. That's what I want to see. I want to see Malik Mustafa get more run. Like I want to see him get run with the ones, because what I saw was like kind of impressive. Like, hey, you're better. You're probably better than George Odom already as a safety. Can we? I want to see Trent Taylor not return a freaking kick, please. Can I please see that? Like, don't. Can I see someone else? Anyone? Shit, Rohan, you're gonna be there at the game, right?
I will.
Can you go return a freaking kick for us? Because Jesus Christ, that was awful. It's atrocious to watch. But yeah, man, it's one of those ones where I'm excited because you do have young players. I want to see Cam Latu, more of Cam Latu. Wasn't impressed. He's not an NFL player. I'm sorry. It's I keep it real. What else am I want to watch? I want to see Jalen Graham get more run. Take Curtis Robinson out the game. Put Jalen Graham there, man. Let's see what he's about. That's my main thing I want to see. But I thought Jalen Graham had a good game, and everyone was talking about D winners on social media. But I thought Jalen Graham had a better game.
Okay.
You're right. My fault. I just can't give you my information. And on YouTube, I just got to be careful next time when you come over here. Let me know. Yeah, just let me know. Hit me up on Twitter, man. _Mart_1205. Hit me up on Twitter. If you follow me, you probably don't follow me either, right? And what do you want? What do you want to see, Rohan?
For me, I mean, Rick was one. Ricky Pearsall. I want to see something, because we didn't see too much in training camp because he was limited. He was injured. He had his issues. Other things, I don't know. What else do I want to see? I want to see. I don't think the starters get any action either. Do you think the starters would get a series in this game? Because if not in this game, this is the only home game. Do you think that they'd try it this game rather than the next game? Also knowing that you have 23 guys banged up and you might need to play some guys, a little more.
They fucking better. Like, if I'm being honest, like, no teams are really suiting up for that game 3. The Niners don't really suit. They don't treat game 3 as a dress rehearsal.
Game 3 is a wash. You're already injured. So if you're going to see the starters, it's going to be in this game, right?
Yeah, and they were hoping to do that joint practice because they didn't want to have to play anyone throughout the preseason.
Right. Yeah.
Now, no joint practice, you better see your starters out there for at least one series. Like, that's kind of the goal, right? Like, to see some of your starters out there. Obviously, not CMC. Now, do they put Brock behind an offense line without Trent? That's what I'm curious on, right? Like, no Trent.
I think they will. And that's weird, but I do think that it'd be fine for a series. I wouldn't mind it too bad if you're just trying to get
the thing is, though, is if you put him out there, right? Like, another thing is Brandon Aiyuk signed by then. You put him out there, and those receivers struggle to separate, and Brock doesn't look like Brock, right? Brandon's like, whoa. See, that's why you need me. Now, should we talk a little bit, like maybe $1 million more, $2 million more? That could also happen, right? Because your wait is so long. So I guess you could look at it in that aspect. I don't know. I really don't know. I think they should. Brock should, but
right.
I don't know. Who else do you think should actually? Will Debo be out there?
That's what I was about to get to, because the one thing I want to see is Debo Samuel return a kickoff, right? I mean, that's something you want to debut during the season.
I don't
know if you want to see it in the preseason, but I definitely want to see it during the season, and maybe you try and debut that here. Give him one.
I think you wait until the regular season, because what's going to end up happening is a lot of coaches, special team coaches at least, their mentality going on with the new kickoff is don't show anything. Let these big things happen, because everyone, the kickoff from week 1, 2, 3 in preseason will not be the same as week 1. People are going to adjust. So I think you wait to let Debo return a kick in the regular season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then, like, you end up catching a team off guard in the sense of, like, I don't necessarily catch them off guard because they're going to expect it, but yeah, it's crazy.
But
wait, when did Jordan? Oh, John Madden. I read this as Jordan Mason called. I was like, wait, Jordan Mason said this? You can't say that. Like, you're on the team, bro.
That would be funny.
Anyone else that you're like, I want to see this guy, or like, do you want to see Kyle call plays, or do you want to continue seeing Clint?
I think that was the funniest, like, non-storyline of the first game? Because doesn't Kyle do that? Like he does that.
He's
like
done it
once?
before. I think it was so. I thought he had done it in the preseason, but I guess he had done it during the Senior Bowl, where
Oh,
he was
Senior
letting
Bowl.
yeah. I thought he had. I might guess. I want to say for sure, 100% guaranteed it was Senior Bowl, but my brain has been everywhere. I thought it was the preseason games that he did that, but I think it was a Senior
Okay.
Bowl.
But the last guy that I got on my mind, I don't know if he played in this past game, is Renardo Green. Yadam's going to probably not play.
Did you not watch the game?
No.
Oh, you didn't. I don't, because you were doing some big things.
Yeah.
Now I remember. See, that's where my brain's at. You've been doing big things, so you didn't watch the game. Renardo Green did play. If you go back, you watch him. From what I saw, dude, if Renardo Green's on the field, you can't be playing zone.
Oh, they were
That
playing
dude is.
zone? That was
They
not
ran
the case
zone.
in camp. They played a lot of man with him.
So they did run man. He looks freaking phenomenal in man, dude. He looked really good. I'm like, just let him play in man. Zone, bad eyes a couple of times, not knowing what he. But again, young player, let him learn on the fly. He learned on the fly a couple of times. First time, kind of took like a guess. I don't mind it. You're young. You're rookie. You're getting these reps. This is something important. For him, I thought his press man in the slot was fucking good, dude. Okay. I was like, oh shit! Like there's a couple times where freaking jamming him, bap, 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 and to giving double hands. Not even sometimes you see a corner put one. There was times he was like, bap, bap, bap. I was like, ooh, that's the shit I get excited about. Like, okay, now we really talking football. Like, right when you see that and his feet, right? A lot of times you see corners, they'll shoot their hands, they'll lock their hips and stop their feet. This dude was feet before hands, got his feet there, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, now we talking. Okay, I see what you about. And I thought that was phenomenal. That probably some of the best reps I've seen from a corner from the Niners as a rookie, probably since. Damn.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say Akilo, because Akilo has some of those kind of reps technique-wise. So I'd probably say Akilo, but I don't want to like be like, oh, Akilo, and then fans like, oh, we didn't like Akilo, right? Like, so I don't want to like put that name on him, but those reps were fucking good, dude. Like, you're when you go back and watch, you're like, I get what he's talking about. There's a few of them where it's feet, boom, 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 get his hands, bah, bah, bah. And then you can see the freaking receiver try to go inside, gets them, tries to go back outside. That rep was fucking good, dude. Right? Probably, honestly, when I was watching, I was like, oh. Yeah, I was like, oh, like 3 times. I was like, oh, and I wrote down like phenomenal rep. Like that was probably by far his best rep in my opinion. That was impressive shit. Like talking football, that's what you want to see from a corner. Most coaches will probably show that to a young kid. I'm like, this is teach tape. Look at it, feet before his hands, shoots his hands, keeps his feet going. Perfect technique.
Yeah, the big thing with me, when you see him in camp, small. He's his size is small, but the technique was good, and that's what I'm excited to see. Both when I watch back next week or last week's game and see this next week's game. So those are the players that I'm kind of looking to watch. We'll probably break down the game a little bit more, and things.
Next week I'll have more time. Next week what me and Rohan will do is we'll do a show on Wednesday, and we'll do a show on. You down to do Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, let's do Tuesday. That's what we'll probably end up doing. Yeah.
Let's do Tuesday. We'll break offense and defense down. We'll do like a quarter each or half each, and then I'm gonna try to get Mondays back and going with Jay Harp, and I want to see him break down the offense. Hopefully the starters go. He could break down the offense and the receivers for us and stuff like that. We could break down that offense, but it sounds like a great time.
So we're gonna be breaking down some film. We're probably gonna be live as well, like we said at the beginning of the show. Later this week, that would be on Marco's channel. So before we go,
sorry, I get excited about football, my man. I apologize. If you're a kid out there, don't cuss. It's bad for you. But when I talk football, it's so freaking exciting. I get carried away. I'm so sorry.
He can't help himself. He can't.
My guy put this in Google Translate and try to send it to me. Come on, man.
The words are very bad.
Muy, muy malo. He's trying to say.
Very, very bad. I know it's my Spanish.
My grandma was watching this right now. Thank goodness she isn't. She wouldn't know what I was saying, by the way. She's just like, but if she knew I was cussing, she'd be like, I'm gonna put some soap in your mouth.
Never too late for that.
Yeah, I remember one time I used to cuss a lot when I was young, right? Obviously, I still do. Obviously, I'm cussing on the show. My mom made me bite a bar of soap. Oh my God. I still kept cussing though. It didn't stop me. I don't know why she put the soap in my mouth to try to get me to stop cussing, but yeah. No, I try.
He's a work in progress. That's what we'll call it.
I try. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I seriously try not to cuss on the shows, but like when I get too excited, like it just comes out. So my apologies. That's I'm not even like joking. Like I try not to cuss on the shows.
We'll see. But we'll be back live probably on Marco's channel later this week. Make sure you go subscribe, Clutch Gene Sports. Check it out. Subscribe. Be sure to subscribe over here as well. We're going to have a little fun, you know. We're going to be breaking down the game next week. And we're going to have another channel or, you know, another video as well. So we got a lot going on. Make sure you guys stay tuned, though. Any last thoughts, though, before we head on out, my guy?
Yeah, my last thoughts to Leon Sandcastle. Don't be saying those words because he probably told you the worst words you could possibly say, my man. If you learned it from a coworker in the warehouse, he is having you cuss everybody out. He's not. Don't go to the taco truck and try to order with those words. I promise you, you ain't gonna get no food. That's my last thought. Can I do a show here in Chicago where I'm at? Go Niners. I would love to do a show in Chicago. That's something I would love to do is eventually, but like I don't have the. I mean, I don't go to Chicago often. But if the Niners are playing in Chicago and I go to Chicago and I'm able to take my equipment, I would love to find a bar and do a show in Chicago. I thought Chicago is by far my favorite big city. So if I could do that in Chicago, I'm doing it in Chicago because Chicago is amazing.
That would be cool.
By far. Yeah. Make sure you guys are all subscribed to Rohan Chakravarthi's personal channel. Make sure you guys go over to Clutch Gene Sports, hit that subscribe button. Rohan, what do you have the rest of the week going on?
We'll see. Don't know. Apart from our show, don't know if I'm going to do one more. We're a little hectic over here, you know, handling a couple of different things. I'm out here in a completely different training camp, a college football training camp. That goes on for the rest of the week. Going to be doing some of that. We'll obviously be over at Niners Nation. Good amount of writing over there before the game, and so stay tuned over there. But, yeah, we're going to have a fun week. We're going to break down this game. We're going to watch this game. I'll be there at Levi Stadium on, on Saturday? Or no, on Saturday, Sunday, one of the 2 days. Sunday, I believe.
Sunday, Monday. Oh, you keep saying one of those days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. See, Rohan doesn't know what month we're in. Doesn't know his days of the week. My apologies, guys. I'm gonna work with him on the days of the week and what month we're in to let him know what day we're on. Rohan's just a very busy college student. Typically, that happens to you every once in a while. Rest of the week, I'll be on tomorrow, giving you guys 2 shows. One with Ashley Ariana, possibly on her show. One with Jesse, and then I will be going on my show on Friday twice with Rohan. No, twice. One with Rohan, one with Ashley. Also, I might break some of the film. I don't know if I have time, but I might try to break down some film this week, but
we'll see. Yeah, that'd be fun.
I might. We'll see. If I could find the time, because I've been super, super hard with work and everything like that. So helping out with hurricane relief in Florida, working overtime and stuff like that to help those people out. Prayers out to go out anyone if you're from Florida impacted by Hurricane Debbie. Prayers go out to you during this difficult time. Very, very hard time for a lot of people in the state of Florida. So prayers go out to them. Hopefully we can continue giving them the assistance they need, and they could find the assistance. And man, hopefully if you're watching the show, hopefully the show helps you throughout the 45, 50 minutes, hour, whatever long we're on daily. So prayers go out to the state of Florida for those who are impacted. Rohan, any final thoughts or anything?
No, that's all I got for you today. This was a great show. Be sure, like I said, to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button on the video. We'll be back very soon with another video. Thank you guys so much, though. Peace out, and we'll catch you on Friday.